25 years of fearless and independent journalism. Hello, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA09925539. Our top stories this hour. At least 3 government officials in Iran and the UK infected with coronavirus. Ghana suspends state travels, and the United States of America records death number 32 as the spread reduces in China but shoots up in South Korea. That's a lot to digest. This afternoon, President Akufo-Addo addresses the nation as Health Ministry investigates claims by some travelers they went through the Aflao border without screening. Also coming up in this edition, barely 9 months to election 2020, your election headquarters launches our coverage of the election tomorrow. So what will influence your vote? My colleagues will join us with our plan, and I'd love to hear from you. Also coming up, chaos at a dam site as community members suspected to be members of the governing NPP block those of opposition NDC from accessing the site as part of a tour of the area to ascertain the state of dams and the government's One Village, One Dam initiative, extending the NDC's Moment of Truth series there. More, a swift intervention of the police in the area curtailed what could have been a clash. And also coming up, Transport Minister meets commercial vehicle operators as the country pursues solutions to the high rate of accidents, claiming dozens of lives on a weekly basis. We'll tell you what Parliament is doing about the situation. Do join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144, and on YouTube, where we are streaming live. You can drop us a message on our WhatsApp platform 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome to the details of those stories now. Well, it's become today's social media sensation. The story of an old blind woman in Sambona in the northeast region whose wish before death is to sleep on a mattress. Well, this afternoon, mattresses are overflowing, and so are your comment. My colleague Jojo Kobna did that story. He's here in the studio with me. But first, take a look at the story once more.
In the heart of Sambona, a community in the northeast region, is Yaya Kwanjet, an old lady who does not know her age, but she firmly maintains that she's way younger than she looks currently. She blames poverty for draining all youthful juices in her, leaving her blind and old. She lost her sight after giving birth to her second child. Yaya lost her husband and recounts everything took a downward turn. She tries to define what poverty means to her.
Farane ka di fara ka hanyo matambaye no fara mangena ala hatiare baka hatiana hanu abe ke tera pon ni kwa fana kare mo ma ye no ta hamba funi ko kunyo yo no mo pango tu ye ma ye no na ulona mu kama
ngalwa se fa ka nywane ngabo nywanga
ko luo bungbara ipo mungbara ta bani kinka to
fi wela
banku.
Poverty is when you depend on people for everything. Poverty is when you want to eat banku and fish, pussy, drink malt, and any other drink, but you don't have the means. That is what I consider poverty.
In fact, her 2 sons traveled to southern Ghana in search of supposed better living conditions, but only one visits her occasionally. Many times she is left to battle life alone. She cleans and does many domestic chores all by herself. The children in the community support by fetching water for her. She gropes for her stick, getting ready to prepare breakfast. She plants her own okra and periodically gets maize from her son and sometimes people in the community. But there are days that Yaya Kwanjet goes without any food.
There are days I have nothing. Sometimes the people of this community assume I'm okay. Those are the days I have nothing but depend on water. God always sees me through.
Although she has not seen her second son for several years, she holds no grudges. Rather, she blames his long absence on poverty.
He was just a kid.
My son was very young when he left. This community is very poor. He had no choice but to leave. I learned he has a family down south, but he has never contacted me. I don't blame him. I know life is hard down south.
Out of 330,000 households and 1,650,000 individuals captured under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program to receive cash support, she was not captured. In fact, out of 2.4 million people identified as extremely poor in Ghana, 750,000 of them are not on the LEAP program. Her national health insurance card has also expired, and she does not attend the hospital when ill. Yaya is thankful to God for good health, but she wants her insurance card renewed also. She has been sleeping on the bare floor all her life and rarely sleeps on a mat. But Yaya has one last wish before she dies.
Before I die, I want to also sleep on a mattress. Now, I don't even have a mat. And the only thing I want is a mattress.
To improve her life, the East Gonja district should strongly consider visiting her and capturing her on the LEAP program. She is grateful that the news team visited her and sends us off with a prayer. Amen. Jojo Kobna, JoyNews.
Tell you what, that woman is about to experience a life-changing testimony, because you know the prayerfulness, the thoughtfulness, the tears, the dance, the gratitude of this blind old woman certainly has caught your attention. So like I said, it's become today's social media. Jojo Kobna is the one that went into the Northeast region to bring us that story. Jojo Kobna is here with me in the studio to tell us what has become of that story after we told you. Jojo, I am completely blown by the ability of this woman to, she's blind, but she's able to go about her business, I mean, all by herself, alone in this house. Let's start with how you found the story. Sometimes we have we make a calculated effort to reach stories. Sometimes we stumble on them. What is the story behind the story?
The story behind the story was we were just on our way to Accra. After many days of travel, we're filming a documentary, two documentaries actually. So we're done, and one lady who begged us for a lift said she knows one old lady who really needs help, and she lives alone, she cooks alone. So the story was very intriguing, how she said it. So we said, okay, I mean, it wouldn't hurt for us to squeeze in one story. And
I can imagine when you have done all your recordings, you are really tired. The last thing you want to do is divert from the plan of going back home. So it was like,
so you know, it's a teamwork. So I threw the idea out there. Do we have to go and check on this old lady? And then, so it was silence, and then
because everybody's tired.
Because we were tired. And then the driver was like, okay, I wouldn't mind, the cameraman wouldn't mind. I was like, God, thank God.
Okay.
So then we quickly took a detour into the community.
We brought this. I mean, this is a typical example of impactful journalism, what we stand for here at JoyNews. So let's talk about this story and the response it has received. Jojo, I'm going to go straight to, I know you've had enough already. I'm going to go straight to Facebook so we have a look at what people are saying about this particular story, and then I'll engage you on that, Jojo. So if you look at the story so far, it's had 1.5K comments. That's 1,500 comments. And then 2,500 shares, and then 4,200 likes. Not to talk about the views. Jojo, what do you make of that?
It is a story that hit home. This story shows that we all hate poverty. We abhor poverty. We don't want to see anyone suffering. And so I knew that Ghanaians would react, but the extent of the reaction is what is shocking me, because since the story was posted, we posted the story last night, and this morning my phone has been ringing like non-stop. People wanting to know how to help, people wanting to bring items, people donating some money, people sending money, people asking how they want to help, people people even saying that they want to help the woman for the rest of her life, people wanting to even donate 300. There was this one particular lady who wants to donate 300 Ghana cedis for every month to the lady, because she was not captured under the LEAP program.
Yeah.
And so she is saying that this money would be her LEAP money.
Okay. And that's why I'm bringing this conversation to the root of the problem. The root of our reaction is poverty. Simple. And she has her own definition of poverty, which makes a lot of sense, Jojo. How is it possible that someone like this will not be captured on the LEAP program? Did you get any explanation to this?
The figures, 330,000 households have been covered under the LEAP program. And then that translates to about 1,650,000 individuals. Then we know we have the statistics of people who are extremely poor is 2.4 million. So 750,000 people have not been covered, because the state has not expanded the LEAP program to cover the very vulnerable, all the vulnerable people. And so we have many people, as they say, who have been excluded because the state really cannot expand. But the LEAP program has been expanding over there. So this particular story makes a strong case for people who should be on the LEAP program but are not. So the government should really do something about it, because if we go around looking for many Yaya Kwanjets across the country, we'll find many of them who have very heartbreaking stories. People who eat just one. The woman said she eats just
once a day.
Tuwo zafi and okro and twice.
And that's what she's been eating
for a long time, and that's the only food, because that's the food that she can easily prepare and the food that is readily available to her. So that is the food that she's been eating, and she was just reminiscing. Oh, she wants to drink malt. She wants to eat kose. She goes to
but she's going to drink a lot of malt and eat a lot of kose.
And then
from today.
And then fish, and then so when she said it with some joy, and you could see that she was relishing the moment. How when she would ever eat that? What
will happen to her if that day comes? But that day has come for her.
I can imagine.
And it will be very interesting to hear what. But Jojo, I would like for us to read some of the comments on Facebook. 2,500 shares, 1,500 comments. I definitely cannot read that. I'm going to read perhaps 2 or 3, unfortunately. Nana Tutu Amwako says, tears flowed at the point she was lighting the matches to set fire to prepare food. Oh God, forgive me if I have ever been ungrateful. Now that's a very strong message there for Mahatma Gandhi said, whenever I see an old lady, irrespective of where, I always think of my own mom. May we never forget our aged. Wish I could reach out to this lady. I almost cried after watching it on JoyNews. Solomon says, I can't watch this anymore. How can we contribute and help her? Nothing is too small and nothing is too big. The true gospel is help the poor, not preaching alone. I'm in whenever there is information to get in touch with her. And this is the sort of message we've been receiving the whole day. People who want to help, people who want to support her. But Jojo, again, the bigger picture is that there are so many people like her living in this country who are not perhaps captured by the LEAP. So we've been trying to reach out to the LEAP division of the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. We've not been successful, but we'll get to them and find out. And it'll be interesting to find out exactly what the NPP said in the run-up to the 2016 election about LEAP and about poverty alleviation. I'm sure they did something there as well. I've been trying to look it up right now, but we certainly will do that in our subsequent bulletins. Jojo, now, I see the gratitude with which she dances. You know, she's dancing, she's praying for you as you're leaving. She is happy. At a point, she breaks down. This is your typical everyday person that has all of the emotions of everyday people who has to be living like this. How does telling the story make you feel, I mean, as a journalist?
You know, when I saw her and she started groping for her stick, and she smiled, you know, without her teeth, and she was smiling. I said, "Oh, the lady said, oh, I have got some people from Accra to come in." Then she said, "Me to come and see me." Like she was very touched. And then
that someone has come to see her.
Then she started talking to us, telling us how her life has been, and then she was happy, and she even tried to teach us a song in Bimo, but we unfortunately were not smart enough to memorize the
so
song.
This is the story of Yaya Kwanjit. Kwanjit.
Yaya is old woman.
Oh,
old.
So
Yaya,
old woman Kwanjit. Kwanjit
yes.
is her name, and I'm sure that she has. Well, Jojo indicated in the story that she has children, but only one of them comes to take care of her. Jojo, going forward, we've received quite a number of...
Quite a number. We have to, we'll be putting it together. Initially, we wanted to see her in the next 2 weeks, but the volume of help, we just want to quickly dash down there and make sure that her dream comes true in the quickest possible time, fastest possible time. So that is what we'll be doing. So from here, we will quickly collate and then quickly make our way to the north, and then donate, and then get her
the plan.
Put some money in an account where she can access them, because I mean, she has to live, I mean, for a very long time, and she has to depend on that money to live a very, at least the rest of her life should be better. Filled with drinking malt, filled with eating fish and kose, and everything that makes her happy.
I'm really touched, and I'm sure that all of you out there watching, you can't watch the story and not be touched. I mean, for me, the fact that in her situation, she still makes time to pray. In her situation, she still makes time to laugh and dance. That is indeed an advice for all of us. No matter what you're going through, your story is not like Yaya, but they are a lot more like her. And those are the people that you and I should be looking out for. And that's what we do here at JoyNews. Jojo, any final words?
So if you still want to help, you can still help. We've put our numbers on the social media platforms, and I think the director will quickly put some numbers, a number out there, so that people can donate to if they really want to help her. And definitely, we would make sure that the smallest coin reaches her.
It will certainly reach her, and we'll bring you the story as well of how she appreciates the help that you're all pouring in to her. I'm sure that there are other old women in her area who will also benefit from this public LEAP program. I'm really excited for Yaya, wherever she is. May God bless her. So, and some of you have been sending your messages. I'll just read those messages and we'll call it a wrap from there. This one says, tears flow down like a river when I saw her suffering to cook. Well, she's mastered the art. I mean, you know that people who don't have sight, they do have something that those of us who have sight don't have. She's mastered the art. We should be applauding her for that as well and encourage ourselves. Says, I'm really sad and I can't stop crying. I pray that God protects her for the rest of her life, from Kofi in Sunyani. Right. This one says, oh, God help her. This one says, with this old grandma's stories, it shows the gravity of the problems we have in Ghana, but our leaders still continue wasting money. This is just one out of million Ghanaians suffering. This is a real moment of truth. Our politicians should get very serious. From Felix in Achimota. Thank you very much for sending your messages through. Those of you who want to go on and read more of the comments, you can log on to our Facebook platform and you can read all of those comments there. The story has just started for Yaya, who is going to enjoy malt, sleep on a mattress, eat kose, eat banku, and eat fish which is one of the wishes she has before she dies. Jojo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jojo Kobna is head of our Gender and Social Protection Desk there, bringing us that story all the way from the Northeast region. I'm going to take you back to the north. This time we're going somewhere towards Yendi, because we heard earlier this afternoon that the NDC took their Moment of Truth series to that part of the country. Well, what they did was they tried to access one of the dam sites out of government's promise, One Village, One Dam program. They are making a case that even though government made that promise, none of those in that particular area has been achieved. We're told that there was chaos at the dam site as community members suspected to be members of the governing NPP blocked the NDC from accessing that site. Sami Jemfi is a communications officer for the NDC. We can listen to him.
Misusing taxpayers' money on useless and meaningless projects like the meaningless One Village, One Dam projects we have shown you. It is our responsibility as an opposition to expose that and to make sure that that is changed. It is in that spirit and against that backdrop that we have come here in the northern region. So we are doing this for Ghana. If government listens, if they heed their call and our call and stop delivering the excavated ponds and dugouts which have all dried up to the people of the north, and begin to deliver this type of proper well-built small-scale irrigation dams, everybody in this part of the country, irrespective of their political affiliations, will benefit from same. And so we must all support this cause. And no matter the political party you belong to, you must support the NDC in demanding accountability from the Akufo-Addo government, because this is not what they promise. And so without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, you can see for yourself a well-built small-scale irrigation dam. Sometimes when we talk about the fact that President Akufo-Addo is not delivering dams as he promised, but dugouts and excavated ponds, the MPP say that, oh, are you expecting us to build dams like the Akosombo Dam? Because that is not what we promised. We are not asking for the Akosombo Dam. We know what a small-scale irrigation dam meant for agriculture looks like, because we have a solid track record in that. President Mahama knows what a small-scale irrigation dam looks like. And the people of the north, thanks to President Mahama and agencies like JICA, have seen small-scale irrigation dams and know how small-scale irrigation dams look like. And this is what we are demanding from government. This is what they should be doing. When they go on radio and TV, you hear MPP communicators say that we don't have any alternatives. Ladies and gentlemen, we have demonstrated to you that not only do we have a superior alternative, but we also have a superior record. This is the record of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And that is why we are saying that the only way the people of the north will once again see proper, well-built, small-scale irrigation dams is only when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Lion of the North, is re-elected come 7 December 2020 to rescue this country from the clutches of the deceptive, inept, corrupt, wasteful, and nepotistic Akufo-Addo government. Thank you very much for accompanying us here, and may God bless you all.
Well, my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson is there live on the ground with us. He joins me on the line to give us some more information. Hello, Parker.
Yes, hello.
Parker, tell us a bit more about the chaos that you witnessed earlier when the NDC people or NDC executive were stopped at a point from accessing one of the dam sites.
Okay, so yes, you know that earlier we had visited the first dam site and then we were moving to Atibo where the next clash happened. Now, on our way to the place, we picked up information from the NDC executive that they have received word that some members of the NDC have been deployed to the area to prevent them from gaining access to the dam site. And so they called the police and informed them of the situation. And that notwithstanding, they still moved ahead to go to the dam site to ascertain the state of the dam and the government one district and at One Village, One Dam policy initiative. Now, when we go to the dam site, we saw some men. But let me put on record that at the time I didn't know who they were, but some were wielding clubs they saw the presence of the police, some of them dropped the gun that they were holding and confronted the NDC guys and said that in their language, they were not going to allow them and the media to take coverage of the dam, especially because they have not received clearance or they've not alerted the assembly why they are coming there. So until the assembly gives them the approval that they should allow the NBC and the media to cover or take coverage of the downside, they were not going to allow them. So the NBC men were also quite not happy with the situation. They were upset and in an attempt to bulldoze their way through and ask the media to go and take coverage. The NCP supporters then decided to attack them. So both of them were pushing each other. Then the police intervened. In fact, it took the police about 10 to 15 minutes to manage to restore calm. Even that did not really work. So the member of parliament for Neon Constituency, Mohammed Abdulaziz, who had accompanied us through the dam side, witnessed the whole incident. So looking at the situation, he gathered the media and said that he wanted to address that briefly. And so he addressed that and described the situation as unfortunate and added that for the sake of peace, we should leave. So the reason for which we got to the downside, we actually didn't cover the whole program because we were waiting for the communication director, Sami JP, to come and address the media at that downside, which it never happened.
So Parker, you're saying that some of the media men were attacked by these people because you were filming at the dam site?
No, the media was not attacked, but they were preventing the media and the NDC support. You know, we are with the NDC team to hold the dam site as they alerted the media. Right. So whether you're a media man or you're an NDC guy, all they are saying is that they won't allow us to do so. And the NDC members were also asking us to go ahead and take coverage. So that was not a confrontation with that. They never attacked any media man. I wasn't attacked by cameraman, and other media guys who were here were not attacked.
But bottom line, they were not. They did. You were the member of parliament for Mion asked you to leave so that there will be peace, and that's what you did.
Exactly, because Sami JP was supposed to address that at that location, and we were waiting for what we took the lead, waiting for him to come and address the media. But because of the situation, they called him not to come, and the member of parliament for Mion asked the media that we should leave after addressing us for just 2 minutes. In fact, he was not happy with the situation. When he was speaking to us, we had some noises, and then he was telling us that they are still fighting their men, and that he's together with all the NDC supporters to leave the place, get into the car, and move back to the different location where we are now.
Which I suppose is what explains the second video we're seeing, or the second location we're seeing, because there are just 2 people with him. Initially, there were about 20 people with Sami JP at the dam site when he was addressing the press conference. What has the police said, Parker, about this situation?
Okay, so I attempted to engage the police, and they declined comment. They said that they received a call from the NDC that some of that was going to happen, so that quickly rushed. About 5 policemen were present, actually. They had to quickly rush to the police and restore some back to us on record. They said that they were not going to investigate it, they were not going to speak to us on record. What happened between the 2 they were alive to lie, and that they won't dwell on it.
Parker, thank you for that update. Kwesi Parker was in there. He's with the team, the NDC team that's organizing press conferences at dam site up north. Sami JP is the communications officer of the NDC who spoke a while ago. Welcome back to the show, and many thanks for staying with us. Now let's talk about election. Your election headquarters will go live tomorrow with the massive people-centered launch of our coverage of the 2020 elections. The weight of the entire multimedia group will be on display at this launch as we bid to once again lead the way with the most comprehensive and people-centered coverage of our elections. This year, the theme for our coverage is having an informed electorate. And who wouldn't want to have an informed electorate? Head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, and host of the Joy Super Morning Show, Daniel Dazi, joined me in the studio with more on tomorrow's launch. They're going to tell us a bit more about it. It's interesting. I've never had this panel on the show before. I've had Evans. I don't think I've had you before.
No. Only on your election headquarters.
You're right.
Yeah. It
You're
appears
right.
that he's intruding in our space. We normally share.
Be nice.
You are the intruder here.
Be nice.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right.
Give
Let's
to
talk about elections.
You have a big heart.
So, like I said, I am interested to know what will influence your vote. So share that with me on our WhatsApp platform. The number will be on your screen right about now. It is 0540109009. So I'm going to engage these two. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Daniel has not been here before, so let me give him the first word. Daniel, what should we know about our quest to have an informed electorate?
I think it's the most important thing ever for the electors, the people who actually go out and do the voting and select who their leaders will be for the next political regime, to know why they should vote, to understand the issues that inform their vote. Today, there's a myriad of challenges that the average Ghanaian faces. There's also a number of things that he benefits from that he feels comfortable with. Is your next president going to change that? Does your next president plan to improve any of the conditions that directly affect you? A lot of times when manifestos are being drawn, and Evans, you back me up on this, most candidates from opposition parties embark on some sort of tour to sort of understand what is going on. We've seen the listening tour, we've seen the hearing tour. There's always something, some way that the politician decides to
thank
connect.
you tours too.
They decide to connect with the electorate to
Right.
inform the kind of issues that they will place in their manifestos. But the question is, how well is that critiqued by the electorate when they bring it out? And that's our focus here in the election headquarters. We want to understand the issues ourselves, want the people to understand the issues so that they can make an informed decision on December 7th.
Evans, how do we intend to achieve this? Now, having an informed electorate is not an easy thing to achieve, especially in a country where you have literacy levels very low. So how do we intend to achieve this?
So, in fact, it is what has gone into the choice of this particular type of launch. So, starters, the location for the launch tells its own story. We are doing it from the Accra Central Business District in the forecourt of the AMA. That location is obvious. It's where you find, it's a melting pot of Ghana. Everybody is there. I mean, the market women, the business, again, this is the business people district. This is where you find the bread and butter issues that should drive an election. The market women who have issues with children's education, the economy, because the real Ghanaian economy is at Makola, and that's where we're going to be. Kantamanton will be there, Tema Station, that's where the real economy is. Not the guys in suit and tie and in air condition. Because they are the masses, you make that point.
But you still find the guys with suit and tie in
there
this place.
as well.
So it represents everything, essentially.
So that goes to the heart of that. So once you have their attention, what do you do to get them to be informed? It's about putting them directly in contact with those who are seeking their vote. In other words, let's hear from the ground what the issues are for them. And let's hear whether those who are seeking your votes have the solutions for those issues. And then by the time you're done, you hope that you would have asked all the questions, and that's what we intend to do, so that the electorate, those masses, those everyday Ghanaian, the people who will be there, would have been informed and left in a position where they can go into the booth on December 7th armed with which idea did I hear over the last several months on any of the multimedia platforms that helped me make a decision as to which of these various political parties and individuals will best provide the solutions that I need to fix my issue. And for us, that's all we're going to do this year. And so you'll find tomorrow when we launch and we go into details of the programming, that every program that we have crafted has been crafted with this theme and objective in mind. It has to deliver information, critique of the ideas of the political parties that then will allow the electorate to make a decision, an informed one.
All right. So that's essentially presenting you with the perspectives that helps you, make that decision. Some of you have already sent in some messages. I'll read those messages and get some more reaction from my colleagues here. This one says, good afternoon. What will influence my vote, she says, is the state of the economy and the various manifesto the political parties will be putting across. As a nurse, we're waiting for a clear condition of service for nurses and midwives, and also free health care for health workers. Also, we will urge the government not to disappoint us, the nurses and midwives, about our clearance on the 31st of March 2020 from Lawson in La Paz. So Evans, you hear this lady talk about the economy.
Yeah. The nurse is talking about something very interesting, peculiar to her, but she represents thousands and thousands of nurses across the country and their dependents, by the way.
Exactly.
Who, as a result of what she said, are affected. And so that person is going to be listening. Which of the parties has a plan to address this for me?
You know, studies show that for every Ghanaian in the working population, he has about 4 dependents.
Okay.
And so for every 10 nurses, there are 40 people out there who may depend on them.
Right.
And what you're doing, Gifty, now is really the heart of what we mean at the election headquarters. When we say we want to listen to the people, let the people be informed. Let the people also influence the process, because a number of these political parties have not put out their manifestos yet. Some of them have not chosen their candidates yet. The other day we had a nice discussion where we're thinking about the running mate for the former president, John Dramani Mahama. The issues that people brought to fore as what would inform their votes, as what would convince them. These are some of the things that politicians will be listening to.
Right.
That's why we're having this.
And I read this second message, and then I come to you for perhaps a final round of conversation. He says, my name is Martin Owusu Boateng from Kumasi. I will vote for a visionary leader, like John Dramani Mahama. Now, I want you to put these two before you. There are those who are fixed on their choice. They know what they're going for. And then there are those like the nurse who just texted, who's saying that I'll vote based on what you present in your manifesto. Are we targeting only those that are, you describe as your floating voters, or is there a plan to reach people like this guy who says, I am voting for this person, to help them to look at the other perspectives and perhaps make a change?
Everybody else, we are targeting all demographics, all shades of political opinion. There are those like that who are settled in who they will vote for, and they've probably voted for this particular party for the entire lives, right? However, in an election where, yes, let's say your vote is on autopilot, right? You will still need to understand what that person you're going to vote for say he's going to do for you. That will not sway you, but at least you are armed with that information going into an election. So you know John Mahama says he's going to do X, Y, Z for me. The thing about these group of people is they also serve as word of mouth sellers of a candidate. So I believe in John Mahama, vote for him. I've always voted for him. Okay. So in a conversation with his peers who maybe are not on his side, if he knows what your mama will do for him, then he's able then to sort of make the argument. Because I don't think that in today's Ghana, there are a lot of people who will simply say, I'm going to vote for your mama, and I've shut the door to listen to other. They might listen, right? See if you convince them. So even for that group of people, this approach is useful. I mean, you cannot just say, I'm just going to vote for the person because somebody says I should, right? Even if somebody says you should, you must know why you should, okay? So that by the time you enter the booth, yes, somebody said you should, but now at least you know why you're doing it.
Okay.
It makes you a better electorate.
Just makes you a better electorate. Kevin said quickly, none of the 2 major political parties has gotten below 40% in any of the elections in the Fourth Republic. However, we find that whenever a political party is about to lose an election, the strongholds of the party do not turn out to vote as much as they should. So, yes, you may say that some of these people, their minds are cast in stone and they will vote for this political party, but their decision to turn up at the ballot is also a vote. In terms of if they do not show up, then that means that you're not getting as many votes as you want to counter your other political opponents. I'm just saying this to mean that the decision by anyone on any side of the political divide is important, and so that decision must be informed. And you find that when these people refuse to go and vote, it's because of a certain mindset they have about their candidates or their party. So that's why we must all be informed.
Certain expectations that have not been met. I'll take your final comments after this. It says, good evening, Gifty. My vote will be influenced by the state of the economy, the level of development in my community, and the payment of my salary arrears. but he says, as it stands now, Mahama qualifies to win my vote. Kwesi from Cape Coast says, I will vote for a leader who will create jobs, practical ones, not theoretical ones. The leader should help Ghana leap in technology, yet to see one though among the current leaders. So it means you won't vote for anyone. And this one says, hi, there are so many issues that will influence my vote. A few of them include free SHS, NAPCO, planting for food and jobs, 1V1D, from Pantia in Philip. I don't know whether you are saying assessment of these will help you vote, or you're saying that you vote because these things have been achieved. Soldier from Achiase constituency says, Eastern region nepotism will influence my vote to vote against Nanado. I've got very interesting comments here, loads of them, and I'm sure that perhaps if we look at it, it will give us an idea what the electorate at the moment are thinking. But I'll take your final comment. I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
Well, I think that first of all, what has started is a big part of what we mean in the election headquarters. Let your voice be heard and be informed yourself. Let's try and understand the issues together, which is why it's very important that beginning tomorrow at the launch, let us all be an active part of this political conversation. Let's be citizens, not spectators.
Right. So I just want to add that everybody's invited to the launch. Everybody. Okay. I mean, this concerns, even if you've made up your mind, and come in here, come and affirm what you believe in. Come in here, what you know you're already going to vote for. And so everybody, I mean, regardless of your age, well, the age is important because if you don't have a vote,
if you're not 18,
you know. 18, but even this year, I mean, one show I can say, because we did it in 2016, we have a show called Just Turned 18, which is targeting first-time voters. And so again, if you're just turning 18, please come. So everybody is invited.
But you know, people's votes can be influenced by the people around them.
Yeah.
So you can still have your child who feels like, you know.
You had Parkway Sindum actually campaigning in senior high schools in the last election. Yeah, even though you find that only a small percentage of senior high school students.
So we're starting at 5:45, and we're gonna go live to the AMA, the forecourt of the AMA. And if you don't know where the AMA office is, if you know Octagon, if you don't know Octagon, you know Kimbu. Kimbu is very popular. Or you know Tema Station. So just that enclave, you find the AMA building. You can't miss it. But if you miss it, just look for the National Theatre.
It's down the street from the
National Theatre. Right there. I mean, the main entrance, well, just on the right side of the Tema Station. It's where we're going to be, right in the heart of the Central Business District, from 5:45 all the way to 10. And just come, we have seats for you. Come and take a seat. But most importantly, come prepared to speak and interact. We're going to have a number of political reps pass through. We're saying pass through because we don't want to make this about them. And so they can come and spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes and leave. And so you can have more say in what we do. So we're inviting everybody to show up tomorrow just get at 6 o'clock. That'll be fantastic.
For those that love to do collectivism, to just, you know, stay at home and do the clicking, how are they incorporated in this?
Hashtag JoyHQ. No, sorry. Hashtag election HQ.
Election HQ.
Hashtag election HQ. So use that hashtag and get in touch. We'll be reading a lot of your messages wherever you are in the world. Hashtag election HQ.
Hashtag election HQ. You get it only here on the JoyNews channel. Evans Mensah, head of our political desk and a host of our Super Morning show, Daniel Dazi, joined me for that one.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to add. Adom FM will be doing a simultaneous launch as also. Adom Asempa Insurance from LECMA. From LECMA. While the Joy FM, JoyNews, Love FM will do
Okay, so that sounds very checked. I'd like for you to say it in a very smooth manner for me.
So all our account platforms will be at LECMA. All the account platforms will be at LECMA. Adom Asempa, Adom FM, Adom TV, Asempa FM, Insura FM will be at LECMA.
Then the English platforms.
Joy FM, JoyNews, Love will be at the Accra Central Business District AMA forecourt.
Which is the AMA.
Yeah, because it is a multimedia election headquarters.
But at a point, we'll actually be converging and doing the same thing.
I mean, we should ask Gifty what the convergence is about.
Well, essentially, I'll be in one of my favorite places, the market. Not because there's food, but because because it's a representation of everything. It's actually a representation of us as a country. You get money. You get those who are spending money, you get those who are losing money, you get those who are making money, you get filth, which is one of our biggest problems. You get the people who call the shots in politics. Tell you what, the market women, they play a big role when it comes to politics. Look at the political history. You go through from Kwame Nkrumah, they are there. So it represents everything. It represents you and me.
So if you can't come to the AMA forecourt, join Gifty at Kantamanto.
Certainly.
From 8:30.
I look forward to seeing you
there with the team. It's all part of one launch, though. It's not one synchronized launch. So join us.
Yeah, and I'll be coming with a bag to shop.
In that case, get me something nice.
Certainly, I'll get you some very nice ties.
Thank you.
Oh, Kanta, that's his bend down boutique.
I'll appreciate it.
All right,
he has no idea what you're talking about.
This is your election headquarters.
Another election year, and your leader in election coverage in Ghana, JoyNews' election headquarters launches the big programming for election 2020 with you, our cherished audience, at the forecourt of the AMA building near the Octagon and opposite the Accra City Hotel. Date Thursday, March 12, 2020. Time 6 to 10 a.m. Live on TV, radio, online, and on the ground. Remember to join the Joy 99.7 FM Super Morning Show and the JoyNews AM Show teams to share your thoughts and expectations on this year's election. JoyNews, your election headquarters.
You're welcome back to the show. This is your election headquarters. You certainly want to make a date with us tomorrow. Get the information that you need. Arm yourself with the information you need to make that choice. Most of you have sent thousands of messages. Unfortunately, I can't read all of them, but if we see the themes that are running through, the economy, your salary, your job, job creation, these are some of the things that will influence your vote. Tomorrow, we'll put it all together and we'll come to you to have that conversation. Authorities of Jema District Hospital say they are yet to take delivery of chemicals to fight stench in the facility as bodies of Kentampo accident victims begin to rot. Residents around the hospital are complaining about strong stench emanating from the morgue, and morticians at the hospital say they are overwhelmed by the numbers as the bodies start to rot. So far, only 3 of the 31 persons who died have been identified. Let's get the latest from Adom FM correspondent Riafi Akenten, who joins us on the line. Hello, Riafi.
Hello, Jesse.
How bad is this situation? Give us a mental picture.
Well, fortunately, the thing has been able to manage a bit, and it has gone down because just some few minutes ago, the hospital was able to provide the mortuary staff with some chemicals which they've used in their process, and for that matter, that thing actually has come down for now.
But there's still, so out of 31 bodies, we're told that only 3, have been identified. So we're still looking at about 28. Have more bodies been identified and collected so far?
So far, the story is not so different. We still have about 26 unidentified bodies. Only 5 of the family members have been able to come to identify bodies of their relatives. Like we earlier on indicated, the bus driver, the Boko bus driver, he was identified and the body was taken for burial yesterday. This morning, one of the girls, one of the pregnant women who survived the accident also had a daughter, a girl, of course, among those cats. And this morning they took the body for burial. So it means they've taken only 2 away, leaving the rest. But there are other 3 that families have been able to identify them, but they've not taken the bodies away yet.
You mentioned that the hospital had ordered for the chemicals to fight the stench. You say that the stench has gone down, but does it mean the hospital has taken delivery of the chemicals they ordered?
Exactly. They done so, and that is what has helped the situation for now. It's done that they've taken delivery of such chemicals and they sprinkled it around, and now the stink
has
gone down considerably.
Okay. But what are authorities thinking of doing with the number of bodies they have now on their hands that have not been claimed?
Yesterday, the Kintampo Municipal Security Committee, the MUSEC met, and the decision that they took, as the MCE told us, and we've heard that one already, is that they are giving about 2 weeks grace period for families to come and identify the bodies. Other than that, they may have any options than to do mass burial.
Rafi, thank you very much for that update. Rafi Kante is with our sister station Adom FM, giving us an update on the Kintampo accident that claimed over 30 lives. We're told that the bodies are getting rotten and it's creating a stench, an unbearable stench for workers there. We're told that it's gone down a bit. But the Kintampo Tamale Road specifically has been tagged as one of Ghana's most dangerous roads. Thousands of lives have been lost on that stretch alone. Well, just in case you may have forgotten, listen to this report that reminds us all of the gory accidents that have occurred on that particular stretch.
She lost her husband and her only child in a gory accident that claimed over 70 lives on the Kintampo Tamale Road on the 22nd of March 2019.
Mrs. Kanono, ni kunu neba wedi 3 years, and ni kunu amutu 2 years. 2 years.
But that was not the only accident that shook the nation. On February 17, 2016, 53 people died when a Metro Mass bus and a truck rammed into each other along the same stretch. More than 30 people sustained various degrees of injury. Then on April 16, 2018, 4 people were reported dead in another accident there. In September 2019, another horrific accident occurred. This time, 8 people were killed, many more injured. In the year 2018, the National Road Safety Commission, now an authority, labeled the Kintampo Tamale stretch one of the 13 most dangerous highways in Ghana. The report revealed that between 2004 and 2011, that stretch alone had recorded 939 road crashes with 2,523 casualties. The Kintampo Tamale Highway has been described by many as a death trap, and it's evident when you drive along the stretch, lined with mangled vehicles.
Holy Ghost fire!
Some passengers praying to God before a bus sets off. But it appears most of these accidents are not what they are thought to be. They are actually acts of men.
Holy Ghost fire!
So exactly a year ago, after over 70 people died from a road crash on that stretch, President Akufo-Addo gave out a charge to the agencies involved. We'll bring you that shortly. But first, even before the president spoke, there was an action plan in 2018 to deal with road accidents. Now, here is that action plan. And I'll tell you what it says. It says, following the upsurge in road accidents, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, set up a 3-man committee comprising the Ministers of Interior, Transport and Roads to develop a plan to help curb the menace. The President, after receiving and reviewing the committee's report, has granted executive approval for its immediate implementation. Now, it goes down and then it talks to you about the plan. What was the plan? Education, enforcement. Now, under education, the plan was to resource the National Road Safety Commission, which is now an authority, being given more powers. So definitely a bigger budget to deal with this problem. Has that happened? We don't know. Enforcement of road traffic laws by the police through spot fines by automation of MTTD operations. Well, if you apply any road in this country, you know that this has not happened. Partner and the enforcement to partner with private towing companies and Nationwide Traffic Management and Enforcement Limited to vigorously enforce regulations. Has that happened? No. Engineering to resource the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads and Department of Feeder Roads with at least 335 million a year to provide signage and road markings for road over a 3-year period. Now, who is doing the monitoring to find out if that has been done? and whether or not it is achieving the purpose for which we invested 335 million cedis. Now, finally, it says at that meeting held, the committee tasked the Ghana Police Service, Road Safety Commission and other road sector agencies to immediately commence the enforcement of the action plan as approved by the President. The public is hereby admonished to cooperate. Like I said, if you look at the list there, most of the things have not been done. Listen to the charge that the President gave Roads Ministry, the police and other agencies in reference to that action plan in 2008. Listen from the President himself.
We've all heard of the horrific accident that took place in the early hours of this morning at Amoma Nkwanta in the Kintampo South District of the Bono region, claiming over 70 lives. My sympathies and condolences go to all the families and loved ones of the deceased. May the Almighty grant their souls peaceful rest. Last year, I set up an interministerial committee composed of the Minister for the Interior, the Minister for Roads and Highways, and the Minister for Transport to examine and propose measures to deal with the increased rate of road accidents in the country. The committee has concluded its work and has made recommendations for the consideration of the Police Council. As the police is the institution charged with the regulation of traffic on our roads, it is my hope that the recommendations will be speedily acted upon and outlawed as soon as possible. As we can all see, the issue is urgent.
Well, this afternoon we understand that the Minister for Transport has been holding meetings with leadership of private commercial vehicle operators. We'll bring you details of that as and when we have that information. I'm going to take a very quick break. When I return, I have a lot more stories for you, including the spread of coronavirus, the number of people it is killing, and the reason why you should not panic, but rather stay focused on doing the right things, like washing your hands, not touching your face, and not touching your mouth if you have not washed your hand. Just stay, we'll be right back. You're welcome back to the show. As of now, we don't have details from the meeting between the minister, the transport minister, and the leaders of transport operators, but certainly we'll get you those details. I'll just read quickly some of your messages. One says, night head-on collision is as a result of high light from especially Kia trucks, Benz Sprinters, and articulated trucks. You say Arrive Alive campaign should encompass stripping all vehicles of additional light. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. And finally, this one says, please, is the part of the road also bad? Let's speak to the drivers. Coming from Jonathan. Thank you very much for your messages on our Arrive Alive campaign. Right now, let me tell you about some brewing labor unrest, because there is some happening brewing at the Electricity Company of Ghana. As some workers, they have been issued letters of demotion. The affected workers, we understand, had originally applied to be promoted to positions advertised by the company at the time of the ECG's concession with the power distribution company PDS. More than 1,000 workers who had resigned their positions to seek greener pastures at the PDS returned to the ECG after the deal collapsed. The matter has been the subject of dispute at the National Labour Commission and also brewing internal strife. In the studio with me to throw more light on this, as we also try to get the ECG for their perspective on that, is Benjamin Arthur. Benjamin Arthur is a labour consultant who is consulting for the affected ECG staff. Mr. Arthur, you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and good afternoon to our viewers as well.
So to break it down completely, and as we do this really briefly, staff who left the company when it was ECG returned when it became PDS.
That's right.
And they have had to apply for jobs advertised within PDS. Now, what they received, they are counting as demotion. Is that the story?
No, not precisely so. What happened is that the PDS, ECG staff, more or less, they're disintegrated into two key, staff members. One joined the PDS who had gone, obviously, to seek greener pastures. And then the ones that remained, which is the core ECG staff, some of them were promoted.
Okay.
These are the people who have been affected.
So they were promoted as ECG staff?
As ECG staff, not as returnees from PDS.
Okay.
And the sad news is that these are people who have received due promotions based on their performance, and they've been on such levels for some of them 8 months, 9 months, some of them almost a year. And then all of a sudden you slap them with a letter saying that revert to your previous position. And what shocks me is that in the history of this country, it is never known in any public sphere, especially a public entity that seeks to make the conditions of workers worse off. It is not something that is anticipated, even in labor law. Wherever we have collective bargaining agreement, even if an employee is made worse off, what the essence of collective bargaining agreements is that you cannot make the conditions of an individual worse off. Yes, there has been some element of restructuring, but the gentleman behind all this brouhaha is a beneficiary of promotion because he himself migrated.
Because I don't have ECG officials and officials who made these restructuring.
Well, I have all the documents.
No, hang on. I don't have them here to speak for themselves. It would be unfair to have a one-sided conversation that doesn't involve them.
I was giving you an example of people who had also received promotion.
What I want to understand
from PDS.
Okay, what I want to understand, and I want my viewers to also understand, is that what are the issues at ECG? Now, if we are going to make allegations, then we'll need to back it up with.
These are not allegations. These are not allegations at all. They are real facts that in labor practice is not done anywhere. If you have had an amalgamation or restructuring, you will not be able to make the conditions of a staff worse off. Yes, you may be able to reassign, but in this case, that is not so. It was also alleged. Yes, they have been made worse off. It's been alleged, that they are being made worse off because there has been a restructuring. Some of the positions don't exist. But that's a complete falsehood.
Okay.
We've checked all their structure. All these positions are existing, and I have a chart in front of me here that spells, maybe you are moving from an assistant electrical engineer to electrical. All these positions exist.
So what I want to understand again is when the PDS, when they moved from ECG, was there some sort of severance package for these people?
No, I'm not aware of any severance package, but the concerned ECG staff that we're talking about are people who never moved. They are the ones who kept faith with ECG.
Okay.
They are not the ones who moved and were fortunate enough to have been absorbed back. These are the people who remained, who have kept faith with ECG, who worked with ECG.
And now their colleagues that went on to PDS are better off than them.
They are not better off, as I know, but there's what they feel as relative deprivation. There are a number of them who, when they left, came back to meet some of their colleagues because of the vacancies that existed, had been promoted. And some of them from PDS are crying that, no, these are people when maybe as of the time we were living, some of them were our juniors, but now we have returned and they are our seniors. But the world does not revolve around some of these fixations.
Okay, I want to find out what you want to do about this situation since you're consulting for them. But just so you know, just so our viewers know, we've been trying to reach the ECG management to get them to speak so that we get their side of the story as well. They've just told us that they are not willing to speak about it at the moment. So I just wrap it up with you about what the next plans are for these people who have been affected.
Because I have been called here to answer some concerns. That's why I'm here. But the next step, I'm not ready to divulge it on your set.
Okay.
But of course, these are people who are aggrieved. They are ready to take action, whatever action that is appropriate.
Have you engaged the management of ECG yourself?
Oh, yes, this matter is before National Labour Commission. As a labour consultant, I thought that is the right place to go. It's a pending issue. And if I were to produce an evidence here, there's the same ECG management that wrote to National Labour Commission saying that they have no such intentions. They had expressed, such intentions before. So when the workers took them on, they wrote to National Labour Commission, telling them that they have no such intentions, they have not carried out anything, and it's not going to happen. They have been given assurances,
they've done it.
But all of a sudden, and what makes it even very sad is that you give them the letters and you are reversing them as far back as 23rd October 2019.
What does that mean?
What it means is that is bad faith. That's what for me it means. Is a show of bad faith. These are people who have kept faith with with ECG. These are hardworking staff. One of the key things that is missing is that nobody is citing poor performance. So if people are citing reasons as administrative lapses and the rest, that's why I wanted to tell you that the same colleague who had been the HR manager who promoted these people is the same colleague who is reversing them. And so people cannot be made victims for somebody's lapses.
You see, like I'm saying, I'm really handicapped in having this conversation because we want as much as possible tell the story from different perspectives. Of course, we've reached out to the management and they told us that they're not willing to speak on it at the moment. But I'm sure that this is still a developing story. It's not ending here. We'll still carry it forward as and when we get more of the information. But I take your very final words.
Well, for me, my concern as a Ghanaian is that we must know the role ECG plays as far as power production, power distribution is concerned. So if they are not entitled to go on strike, even though we have had instances where essential services sector workers have gone on strike, what it means is that you need to handle this matter with care. Under the labor laws, within a very short time, 24 hours, this matter must be resolved. If the workers get aggrieved, and the numbers are huge, if they get aggrieved and they begin to do whatever they deem fit to protect their economic rights, and it ends up in strikes and doing so here and there, nobody is willing to accept that.
Is that a threat?
No, it's not a threat. But
they'll end up imposing doomsday on us because they have personal issues.
What I'm saying is, don't also forget that you should be able to preempt a situation. Do you get it? If you are tying people's hand behind them, you must know that when they gather strength to untie the rope, definitely you may have to run for your life, and it's not a good thing to do.
Well, like I said,
apart from these 42 people, there are like-minded people who believe that if they also don't solidarize with these people, it could happen to them also. So we are not just talking about 42 people. We are talking about a good number of people. All
right. Like I said, this is still a story that's still developing. It's not ending here. I'm sure we'll certainly come back to it along the line. Benjamin Arthur is a labor consultant. He consults for the concerned ECG staff. Like I told you earlier on, there's been an issue of demotion there, and the staff are not very excited about it. We've reached out to the management. They tell us they don't want to speak at the moment. It is still a developing story. We'll bring you more as and when we have it. Now, the GNPC Foundation has elected to build a 6-classroom block for Papase and boreholes for some communities within the Ewutu Senya West constituency as part of their corporate social responsibility initiatives. Speaking at a ceremony for the commencement of the execution of the project, Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senya West, George Anda, said he was excited the efforts made to secure the assistance from the foundation has paid off.
We came to the school and the then head teacher put in a request. We said we'd see what we could do about it. I met with the chief of Papase, Nai Banafo, and he also put in the request. I said I would see what I could do about it to impact lives and to bring relief to the students of the school. So we approached the GNPC Foundation with the support of the traditional authorities. They gave us the supporting letters. The district education director and the district chief executive supported my request. We continued following up, and God being so good, we had the good news that the GNPC Foundation had approved our request among several other requests that had come through in Ewutu Senya West. For the first time in the history of Ewutu Senya West, the GNPC Foundation Touching Lives Train has hit Ewutu Senya West. And they're not doing only one project. Apart from this 6 classroom block that they are doing here, they are building a mechanized borehole in Ewutu Breku Zongo. And then in Ewutu Bojoasi Mankasim, they are also building a mechanized borehole. We sincerely appreciate the efforts and the consideration from the GMPC Foundation. So please, put your hands together massively for the GMPC Foundation.
I want to talk to you about the coronavirus. Preparedness to deal with the virus at some of Ghana's land borders is being questioned as Togo, Nigeria and Burkina Faso all record cases of the deadly virus that has claimed over 4,000 lives so far. Early this month, Health Minister Kwekwa Menu, after a tour of the airports and other designated holding centers with President Akufo-Addo, noted the country's land borders have been put on high alert to check entrance from neighboring countries.
The same measures that we have put in place in the Kotoka International Airport are the same things that we are replicating along all the land borders, especially the 2 major ones, Elubo and Aflao. But we haven't forgotten about the approved routes across length and breadth of our country, as far as Paga, the Gonokrom and Badukrom and the Sampa area, everywhere across the country. We are on high alert, and now we have got some of our directors who are moving around to actually check, just like the president went around this afternoon, to make sure that they have taken our advice and instructions very seriously, and they are working on them.
Now, 2 days after the health minister's announcement, this Ghanaian who came into Ghana from Togo, which has recorded a case of the virus, has been narrating his experience at the border to Daniel Dazi.
Well, if coronavirus is in Togo, then seriously, as Ghana, we are in a colossal screw-up. Because, honestly, Daniel, there was no form of check. On my way back, they took my passport, asked me where I went to, what I went to do, and that was a stamp. No form of medical check whatsoever. I think the only thing they were concerned about was whether or not you had the legal right to enter or not. So on our way to Togo, there was a bit of a kerfuffle. The guy who came for my stamp, for my passport, wanted some money before he stamped it to prove that I'm going to Togo. I told him I was not going to pay any money, and he left angrily. And so I had to go back to the border guys and tell them, hey, this is my passport, I'm going to Togo, will you stamp it? So I could have easily entered Togo without my passport being stamped. And I went with a friend whose passport wasn't stamped. And so it was a few minutes after we had entered Togo that he actually had to come all the way back to the border and have his passport stamped.
Which means that it's possible you would not have had a record that you had crossed the border and people know how you got there.
Yes, I think it's very possible, and I won't be surprised if there are a lot of people who don't have any records of going in and out of the Togo border.
Do you think we are safe from coronavirus?
No, I don't think we are safe at all. I promise you, I didn't know anything about coronavirus, even being remotely close to Ghana, till I got to Ghana way later in the evening, and someone sent me a news article that there was an outbreak or there was a possible case in Togo. The same day I was in Togo and out. So no, I don't think as a country we are safe at all, honestly.
That's a traveler sharing his thoughts with Daniel Dazi, Director of Public Health of the Ghana Health Service. Dr. Bedusa Kodie says they're looking into the claims of the lapses as reported by this gentleman at the Aflao border area, which is one of the high traffic points for Ghana. He's also been speaking about outcomes of a day-long meeting between health officials and the 16 directors of health on the way forward in dealing with the disease should it get into this country.
The idea is to assess and get first-hand information, what they have been reporting of the preparedness of the various regions. And we had already gone to some of the regions, the Director General and myself, we've been to some of the regions to assess what they are doing. Clearly, they are doing quite a lot of things, not very different from what we are doing at national level. Whatever mechanism you put up here should
just run down through the region, and the regional directors also have the responsibility to ensure the districts and the health facilities and even the community activities are adequately done. And those are the things that we deliberated on and discussed. And based on the information we received, we are quite happy about the progress so far.
And the financial commitment to this has been forthcoming?
Indeed, we have a master plan. And this master plan has been we've added cost to it. And we have some amount that we anticipate to get the things. And most importantly, this has been broken into short-term, mid-term, and long-term. At any time, what I require as the lead in the operational activities is that when we need specific things, if they rarely mention PPEs, how do you get a PPE, which has already been costed in the plan? So we go to the DG, the minister, he provides the PPEs. When we require place for holding, place for treatment, the logistics for case management, logistics for laboratory confirmation, these things are provided. So for now, I think we are doing well as a country, and what we have no reason to be worried about our preparedness.
That's Dr. Bedusa Kodia, who is the Director of the Public Health of the Ghana Health Service, updating us on the coronavirus. So take a very quick break. When I return, I'll take you to Germany. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando up here. Now, coronavirus, also called COVID-19, continues to dominate headlines as impact of the outbreak reaches unprecedented levels from economies to social life. Here in Ghana, President Akufo-Addo has restricted traveling by state officials, whereas in Europe's Italy, the entire country is on lockdown. Kate Brady is political correspondent with our partners DW, who joins us from Germany with the situation in Europe. Kate, thanks for this afternoon. What's the latest in Europe on the outbreak?
Well, of course, the situation is changing very quickly at the moment, and the numbers do seem to be continuing to rise. And within the European Union, at least, the aim right now is to agree on a coordinated response and how to go forward in measures taken to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Of course, at the moment, the measures are varying from country to country within the European Union. We've heard now as well that Slovenia and Austria are actually going to be closing its borders to Italy. Now, that's quite a controversial move, which has been discussed within the European Union today, and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the German Health Minister Jens Spahn said, well, they voiced their criticism, should I say, about such measures today, as of course the effectiveness of closing borders is yet to really be determined. But of course, economic factors, the economic impact of the coronavirus is also of concern within the European Union, and the EU Commission has now said that it will pledge a EU fund of some 7.5 billion euros to help businesses that are impacted by the effects of the coronavirus.
Well, let's focus a bit more on Europe's epicenter, which is Italy now. Some drastic measures have been taken by that government itself. Update us on those measures briefly and tell us how they've been received.
Well, of course, the entire country is now being quarantined. So that's some 60 million people in Italy. So some huge drastic measures there. Schools, universities closed. Most bars and restaurants are already closing at around 6 p.m. on an evening. And of course, looking at pictures of Italy as well, of course, historic sites, huge tourist attractions. In Rome and Milan, for example, the streets are simply deserted. Now, of course, people are trying to keep morale high. Many people are staying at home, trying to work from home where possible. But there has been some confusion. There were also reports of riots breaking out earlier this week at several Italian prisons as well, and 7 inmates actually died as a result of those riots which broke out after it was announced that visitors would no longer be allowed to visit prisoners for the foreseeable future until these drastic measures have indeed been lifted. So, of course, Italy is now also looking to its European partners as well for extra support. But right now, as I say, the country does remain under quarantine.
The last time we spoke, COVID-19 had been recorded in almost all of Germany's states, and Germany, of course, is a neighbor of Italy. Has anything changed briefly?
Well, this has changed drastically in the last week. Today we had the 3rd death from coronavirus confirmed here in Germany. Of course, a long way away from those figures that we're seeing in Italy, which has now had more than 630 deaths caused by coronavirus. But the German Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke just earlier today actually and said that the main priority now is making sure that these measures are implemented across the country to win time, is what she said, to try and stop the spread of coronavirus. So nothing as drastic here in Germany yet as we're seeing in Italy, but football games, for example, are being played behind closed doors in the German capital here in Berlin. Opera houses, theatres, they're closing their doors until the middle of next month, and many public events, often with numbers over the 1,000 mark, they're being cancelled for the foreseeable future until the spread of coronavirus really is deemed to be slowing down.
And finally, Kate, now that it's been declared a global pandemic, what can you tell us about the EU response? You did mention some figures earlier, but put it all together for us. The EU response and what countries not yet affected, like Ghana, can learn from that response.
Well, of course, every member state of the European Union has now been affected. Italy is the worst. There's been around 10,000 cases there now, and as I say, more than 630 deaths in Italy. Now, one of the largest points of criticism so far has been the number of tests for coronavirus. Many people still voicing criticism that the testing isn't being carried out on such a widespread basis as some health professionals are recommending, and that they aren't being carried out on such a wide scale. But of course, as you mentioned earlier as well, Ghana's president has already restricted travel for many ministers in Ghana, which of course is an effective first step considering there are currently no cases in Ghana. But of course, going back to basics really is just making sure that people are upkeeping basic hygiene and making sure that those hands are thoroughly washed.
Kate, thank you. This is rather a difficult one for the entire world to deal with. Hopefully it gets better the next week when we come to you. Kate Brady is political correspondent with our partners DW, joining us all the way from Germany here on The Pulse.